Hello everyone, welcome to the cooking channel. This is Nadine's cooking channel and let's get cooking. Hello everyone, today's recipe is the one you've been waiting for. Got a lot of friends that's been waiting on this recipe. We're going to be doing the shrimp and bacon zucchini boats, and this is our ingredients that we're going to start out with. I'm only using a half of a block, 8-ounce block of cream cheese, because I'm only going to fix one zucchini, which will make 2 boats. I'm single, so we're cutting this recipe down a little bit. But all you have to do is just know that this is equal to 1 good-sized zucchini, and if you need to make more, you can double or triple the recipe. But we've got cream cheese, our zucchini, we've got olive oil. Back here in the back, we have mozzarella cheese. We got some parsley flakes, or you can use fresh parsley cut up if you'd like for a garnish. We've got some cut up raw shrimp back here. I usually use about 6 jumbo shrimp that's already been deveined, and I just like clean it up and remove the shells and chop it up for one. I use 6 for 1 zucchini. And then we have onions, we've got garlic, minced garlic, got some Parmesan cheese, fresh Parmesan cheese over here, and then we have some real bacon bits. It has to be the real ones, can't be imitation. Imitation won't work. Or you can cut up some real bacon and cook it up too. You can do it either way. Just make sure that your bacon's crispy whenever you do that. But anyway, let's get this recipe going and we'll show you how to do it. Okay, the first thing that we're going to do is I'm going to show you how to prepare the zucchini and get it ready for the boat. First off, what we're going to do, after you've washed it, dried it off and cleaned it, is just cut it right directly in half into 2 pieces, like so. Then what we're going to do, this one's definitely got some seeds in it, we're going to take a spoon and we're going to pull this out, the center out, to make a boat. Now once I get all of these out of there and get the seeds out of the mix, we'll show you what we're going to do next. But we just got to pull all of this out all the way down to the end. The spoon works the best to do this. If you're working with smaller zucchinis, you'll want a smaller spoon to do this. But let's just pull all of this out. You don't want the boat to be super thick. You want to get as much of that out as you possibly can without breaking the boat, breaking the zucchini. So these are fresh. I got these from the farmer's market here. It's why they're so large. You just can't find zucchini this big in the grocery stores. But we are going to pull those seeds out because I'm one of them ones, I save my seeds and use them in my own garden. I let them dry out and then I use them for my own garden. But once we get both of these cut out and ready to go, then I will show you the next step. Okay, once you get all of the meat out of the zucchinis and they look pretty much like this, like a boat, to put our filling in. I've done removed the seeds from all of the inside meat. There's one that got away from me. But like I said, you know, the smaller zucchinis, you don't really have to worry about taking the seeds out, but these larger ones that is from farmer market and, you know, from the farmers markets, you will have some larger seeds in there that you'll have to get out of there. I like to save mine for my own garden. I'll be drying these out later and using them in my own garden, so we'll set these aside. But anyway, with your meat that's left over, what we want to do is we want to chop this up into little pieces. The smaller seeds are fine. It's not going to hurt anything if they're just like little bitty seeds. You know, it's the same difference as like with yellow squash and stuff like that. So it's just them big seeds you wanted to take out. But anyway, we want to chop this up pretty small. To pretty small pieces because we're going to cook this and we're going to use it in the filling that's going to go back into them. But we'll cut them up. Go ahead and do that while we're at this stage and at the cutting board. And then I will show you what we're going to do next, the next step. Okay, the next step in this is we're going to prepare the boats for roasting them in the oven, and while they're roasting in the oven, we will prepare the filling and get them ready, but we got to prep these and get these ready for the oven. And how I usually prep these is I usually take some sea salt in there and kind of just sprinkle it inside the boat itself. And then I take a little bit of olive oil and put in there. And I take a brush that on there really good throughout the inside of it. Okay, and then I will take some pepper, a little bit of pepper, put that in there too. Just to kind of give it a little bit of flavor. Okay, and then once we get that oil all spread out on the outside edges of it too here, then we're going to pop these into the oven. We're going to pop these into the oven and at about 350 degrees and just let them bake for a little while we get the filling ready. Okay, now we're back to our stove top. Well, our zucchini is in the oven and it's kind of roasting a little bit and cooking. We're going to prepare the filling for these zucchini boats. The first thing we want to do is put a little bit of olive oil into a pan, not a whole lot, just a little bit, just enough to coat our onions and garlic. And then we're going to put those in, put our onions in there. And our garlic. And then we're going to cook these up just a little bit until they start getting a little bit tender. And start getting a little bit translucent. The onions will start getting translucent looking. Okay, once these start becoming semi-translucent, we want to kind of move them over to the side a little bit of the pan. And then we're going to want to add our cut up shrimp into there to start cooking it. Get it cooked in there. You want to cook this until it starts becoming pink, like we know shrimp does. But let's get all this shrimp cooked up. I always get the kind that's already deveined, and then I always check, make sure that it is, of course, but it's just easier because I hate deveining shrimp. So I always try to get the kind that's already deveined already. But let's cook this up until it turns good and pink, and then I'll be right back. Okay, our shrimp has turned pink and is pretty well cooked in there, pretty darn good. Now we're going to add the meat of the zucchinis that we chopped all up and put that in there. And we're going to cook it the same way as we did the other. Get that a little tender. Give it a couple of minutes to cook in there with the shrimp. Let all these flavors kind of incorporate into each other. Okay, and once the zucchini starts softening up a little bit, and it will cook off some juices from the zucchini itself, we're going to add a little bit of spices in here. We're going to add a little bit of sea salt, just a little bit, just about a pinch or two, a little bit of pepper. You can season this to whatever your taste is. And then we're going to add a little bit of parsley to this. Now, you can use fresh parsley, and normally I would use fresh parsley, but I was out of fresh parsley right now, so we're having to use some of the dried parsley. And then let's stir this up a little bit. Give it a couple of minutes for all those flavors to incorporate into each other a little bit. I'm cooking this on a medium high on the electric stove, so just so you know. So we want a good simmer going on. And just let that kind of simmer up just a few minutes. We're going to go ahead and add the bacon bits to it and stir that up in there and let it simmer just a little bit so that bacon flavor can kind of incorporate through the rest of it. Okay, now I think we're about ready. We need to go ahead and put in our cream cheese in there. Get that melted in there. I'll cut this up a little bit. Get it melted up in there. It's at a cold refrigerated state, so it's going to cool off everything in the pan for just a minute until it melts. Get that in there. Get that melting. Stir this up. Then we're going to add almost all of our Parmesan cheese. Not completely all of it, because we want to save just a little bit to go with the Parmesan cheese that goes on top. But we're going to add most of this in here. This is probably about 1.5 cups of mozzarella cheese. But we're going to leave about 1/4 cup in there for the tops of them. Okay, so let's get this all melted, and I'll be right back once we get this all melted up. Okay, once it's all melted, we want to remove this from the burner and set it aside so it can start cooling a little bit, so we can get it into the boats when we take them out of the oven. Okay, we've got the boats pulled out of the oven from the skins roasting, and now we're going to assemble these and get them ready for going into the final bake in the oven. Now, we've got our filling that we just made just a few minutes ago on the stovetop. We're going to place this filling into these boats to fill them up. It's got our shrimp and bacon. I'm telling you, this is such a delicious dish. Everybody's going to love them. If you like shrimp and you like bacon, you're going to love this. And this can be used for either a main dish or a side dish, because it does have meat in it. Get it all filled up there. And once we get all of that in there, where it needs to go, put a little bit more on this end of that, because these are some pretty big zucchinis, let me tell you. But let's get it all in there. And then once you get this in here, what we need to do next is we are going to add the rest of our mozzarella cheese that we had. Put a little bit on this one. And top up this one a little bit here. A bit more. Spread it out a little bit. I don't know about all of y'all, but I love me some mozzarella cheese. I think my hips like it too. Now let's put a little bit of Parmesan, grated Parmesan on top. I just like the flavor of Parmesan. It kind of changes up the flavor just a tad bit, just enough to give it that little wow factor. Once you get that topped on there, doesn't take a whole lot. Then we're going to go back with our parsley flakes again, or like I said, you could use freshly chopped parsley too. But we're going to go ahead and sprinkle some of this on there. A lot easier to get it even whenever you use just your fingers to do it here, to pinch it in there. All right, now we're going to pop this back in the oven, and we're going to bake it at 350 for probably about 20 minutes or so to finish up cooking the skin part and to get everything all melted in there together. And we'll be right back whenever we're finished, and we'll show you the finished product. Okay, we just pulled it out of the oven. It was in there about 20 minutes, and this is the way you want it to look whenever you pull it out, to where it's just starting to brown and be done. Now let's pull these things out of the pan and get them on a plate, and let's try them out.